Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Wednesday with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn, and I am about to bring on one of two persons you see on the screen. It is Miss Jackie Berrios. V. Ethan is not able to make it today, but it is good because this way I can showcase her. And when I bring her on, you need to understand this is the woman that is responsible for Live from Lloyd coming to life. So yes, we're going to be talking about insurance, but I'm, you know me, I always like to give credit where credit is due. It is this remarkable woman that you will meet in a moment that made it possible for Live with Lloyd to go into its second year and growing. I mean, I'm really already. The one thing about my shows, it's always live, and I never know what's going on. Mercury's retrograde. I know I can use that as an excuse. Five other planets have been retrograde right now. I can use that as an excuse. But uh, anyway, I think I've come a long way, all things considered. Before we start the show with my beautiful guest, Miss Jacqueline Berrios, I want to let you know that today's show is being brought to you and sponsored by Miss Jazz Aphrodite. She is having a class coming up on the 19th of this month. So please, for those of you, it's a 6-week course. She is no joke. So for those of you who wish to learn about the power of presentations and whatnot, and she's put all three of my Learn from Lloyd series that's on Udemy that's generated literally thousands of students, and I think it's to her professionalism and presentation. She's also done my app, a star 8 for my numerology app too, and you should visit that to see exactly what she does. So this is a class worth taking. Okay, so it starts on Tuesday, September the 19th, but I thank her for sponsoring the show this week. And before I bring my guest on, as you know, I always like to do today's forecast. So here we go. Today's forecast, it is definitely the 6th of September. Um, the moon is in the sign of Gemini. Mercury is still retrograde until the 15th of the month, which means I thought you said this. No, I thought you said that. So this is a time you can't assume or just think, well, you know what I mean. No, I don't know what you mean. Not when Mercury's retrograde. No, it's not best like that. Contractual matters, unless it's been in the works for quite some time, started now while Mercury retrograde will normally have some glitch attached to it. But anyway, it's a 7 universal month, an 8 universal week, a 4 universal day, and or for those of you who are Taurus, Librans, Leos, Aquarians, Geminis, or if you're born on the 4th, the 6th, the 13th, the 15th, the 22nd, 24th, and 31st of the month, well, this is your day. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my very special guest. Uh, Hold on, let me get this out the way. Jackie, how you doing?
Lloyd, greetings from Philly. I am well.
In fact, it was in your home with
Yes,
the mirror behind me
yes,
that
that's
you had it, that you tested me and said, Lloyd, do this. And I made a commitment. I put it in writing. I
mhm,
sent it to you. And
okay.
on July of 2 years ago, on the 14th, I launched Live with Lloyd. And it
Okay.
has been a pleasure. It has been an absolute pleasure. So on anniversary time, I brag about you because if it not been for
Mhm,
you, I wouldn't have had this segment. But now we're going to talk about something totally different because about a week and a half ago,
mhm.
I had a woman on, Dr. Yana Woodhouse,
That's
and I
right.
think you were in contact with her too.
Yeah.
And she was explaining about the importance and the power of money and the understanding of it. And the
Hmm.
one thing I noticed that where banks got their bucks stashed at, and life
Insurance
insurance
companies.
companies.
That's
And I
right.
thought that was very interesting. So I says, I'm going to have a life insurance person coming on
Hmm.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
How did you get started in life insurance, Jackie?
Well, I started out as a client of the current company that I work for, and Ethan was my insurance advisor. So, and just to give your viewers a little background of who I am, I'm a licensed insurance agent. I'm an investment, I'm sorry, an advisor as it relates to retirement planning. So um, I had the woes of a young kid, seeing my family experience the struggles of what it's like not to have life insurance in place and what that struggle financially looks like and the burden on the family. And I said, well, if I could ever fast forward in this life, do something different or make a positive change in someone's life, I'm an advocate for it. So,
Let me ask you this.
mhm,
I know when I was growing up, there would be a man that would come around every week collecting money for what he called death insurance.
right.
And I think that that has kind of stigmatized people, black, white, or indifferent,
Mhm.
about insurance, that if they get insurance, they're going to die the next day. But actuaries already figured it out that
Mhm.
once they get your birthday and your age, they already know how long you're going to live before you do.
That's right. So the average person is living until 86, 87, and beyond years of age. So um, the company that I work for represent, we have very traditional values. We still go out and sit at someone's dining room table or kitchen table and explain what life insurance is and find out what their needs are, and then hopefully put them in a position of strength and get them into coverage that makes sense financially for them and what their long-term and short-term goals are. Life insurance can do so much more. It actually is a living benefit, not a death benefit, really.
Explain the living part because people always associate it with the death part.
Right. So living would be, if you or I are left behind and our loved one, we want to make sure that we handle their final expenses. That's one way you could handle life insurance. And another way, if you were to get into a particular product, which is called an index universal life, or yeah, yeah. Uh, if you set it up properly, you can get yourself a guaranteed income, tax free.
Well, see, I sold life insurance, as they say back in the day. What is index insurance? Is that a new kid on the block, so to speak?
I would say no. It's more so talked about more so than anything. I've had a client recently send me a TikTok video, which is about that. So, Index Universal Life is that it participates in the S&P 500. So, the more that the market, the gains in the market of the S&P 500, you benefit from it. If the S&P 500 should either, we should see a decline in the performance, or if it should, yeah, to pretty much decline, then you, as the investor, your dollars you would not be affected. So you benefit from the gain, you don't benefit from the downfall.
Now,
So
S&P stands for Standard and Poor's. I think, does that still
that's
what
right.
that means?
That's still what it means. So you
Okay.
think about your everyday stocks, like your I'm just going to throw out, for example, we're on a StreamYard that's publicly traded, or a YouTube, or a Facebook, or an Instagram. As long as their stocks are performing, you're going to benefit from the gains. So
And even if it's not performing, it won't affect the
no,
index universal policy.
no, no. So you don't create the downfall, but you just stay flat or level, if you will.
Uh-huh. But as it goes up,
You
then
benefit.
okay, I like that. I like that. That's rare to have something like that.
It's an excellent product for those who, like anything else with insurance, is based on your age and your health today. But we can run illustrations for someone, and it can definitely work in your advantage as the living benefit, guaranteed income. I have that particular policy in place, and I even went one step further and have what they call an accelerated death benefit onto it. So that way I'll have more money over time that I can then use to generate income from.
Now, I've heard of the word accelerate, which means things speed up.
Right.
Can you explain the process behind an accelerated policy?
So, say for example, the average policy may be the cost may be $100 per month. And I decided that, okay, I'm going to put maybe $200 per month. So that way, my cash value or access to cash value, I'm able that column is going to grow a lot quicker. So I would have access to that accumulated cash value column that I could be able to draw an income from.
Um, so the nice thing is now, because there's several packages, what is the difference? And I'm assuming I'm working on the assumption that everybody doesn't know or understand insurance.
Right.
What's the difference between life insurance, then term insurance, and also there's another insurance now that covers you in case you're sick or you got to go into a hospice, or it's a third class of insurance I've seen to do. So let's start with life insurance. Everybody's heard the word life insurance. What does it mean?
So there's three types of life insurance. There's term, which is temporary, because it's for an extended period of time. You can get a 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 year insurance, life insurance policy, but it's term, it's temporary for that period of time. Then you have whole life, right? So it's for your whole life. Most policies are going out to 121 years because we're living longer. And of the whole life, you have like simplified whole, you have graded benefit whole, and then you have index universal life whole. So
Now,
there's different products.
you're saying, if I'm not mistaken, you said you have whole life that goes up to 120 years. Did I?
121 years, that is correct. Because we're living longer. You think about, and I'm going to just use my parents, for example. When my parents purchased life insurance, it stopped at age 95 because our life expectancy wasn't that long. So my mother was born in the 1927, as a matter of fact. So,
Hmm.
we weren't living that long. People were dying in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. So now that we're living longer, we're doing so, yeah, 121 years.
Now, I didn't know that. I figured that once you start clocking around 70, 80, that
Mm-mm.
was it. And I thought as a result that insurance would be either not only hard to get, but even more so very expensive to get. Would that be correct?
That is correct because it's based on. So when I'm saying 121 years, that is based on a whole life policy. Because remember, term is temporary. So once it's just for that period of time. So it's term, a 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 year term. So that's it. So is the cost of insurance expensive? It can be for someone that's in their 70s or 80s, depending upon. Now, if we're talking something very simple, like maybe a $5,000 face value, then that's different. But if you're talking about if you want to leave a little bit of a legacy gift, a cushion, if you will, like 30,000 or more, yeah, the cost of insurance for someone that's probably in their 70s or 80s, yeah, it could be.
You
If
know,
there, it could be a little bit more because you're basing it on someone that's on a fixed income. They're not working anymore, so $100 or more, depending upon the individual, could be of a financial stress to someone.
well, considering today's climate
Hmm.
and its economic environment, on average for a couple, I don't care whether they're in their late teens, 20s up until 70s, what is the ideal amount that the person should have on themselves?
I would take a couple things into consideration. If they're renting or do they own a home, and this is how we determine the value of what they should take out. Do they have a home do they have student loan debt? Do they have a car payment? Because when we leave our loved ones, when we leave this life, our loved ones are left behind to do all the buttoning up for us, if you will. So you have to handle someone's final expenses. So the average cost of a funeral is about 10 to 15,000. So I need another 5 or 10, $20,000 or more set aside, and these are just hypotheticals, set aside so that way I can handle my final expenses. Especially if you have a spouse, because you think about it, the average person is buying a home and it's based on two incomes. So what happens if I lose that second person's income? Am I able to maintain my standard of living? I want to keep my home. I want to keep, as normal. I want to continue about my routine as normal as I possibly can under my new normal situation, my loss of my loved one.
So you're
So
saying, is that the reason why, whether other insurance, whether car insurance, fire insurance, they want to know, do you live in a home versus an apartment? It makes a difference.
well, yeah, prop, what do they call property and casualty is a little bit different than life insurance, but yes, if you're asking the question, when I sit with my clients, I ask the question, do you, if you owned your home and then your home, your mortgage is based on, or your purchasing power was based to buy this home was based on a two-person income. So what happens if you lost that income? So say for example, if I had a spouse, his income that he was bringing to the table was $4,000 a month, for example. I
Hmm.
need to replace that income when they're gone. So, you want to have a little bit of a cushion, if you will. A, have your burial, and then B, to cover some of your expenses to pay the mortgage over the next couple months.
But what's happening therefore in a renter's case for people who just rent?
In that case, you still would want to have a cushion because you still have some final. If you have student loan debt, you're still on the hook for that. If you still have a car payment, you still on the hook for that. So you want to have a little bit of a cushion, if you will.
Wow. Okay. Um, has there been any ways of approaching now selling a person life insurance with the understanding that if banks invest in it, you should too, versus the old stereotype of like, because no one leaves this planet alive anyway. So I mean, that's a fact of the matter, and actuaries know this too in insurance.
Hmm. Yeah, I always ask again, what are your goals? Do you have any small children? Would you like to leave them a gift behind? And sometimes some clients I have, they can't. Their affordability is just enough to cover their final expenses, their burial, if you will, whether it be a cremation or to have a small service and to have a little bit left over to cover for a repast. So it just really depends on the individuals and what's affordable for them and what their goals are. I try
Uh,
and stay on the side of affordability first and then talk about their goals, because the last thing you want someone to do is get a policy and they can't afford it, and they lapse the policy.
Yeah, yeah. One of the other features that make it two features that I know is standout is you can actually borrow against your life insurance in case
Hmm.
there is a financial emergency, and even upon the death, whatever amount you leave your family is not taxed at all or messed with by the federal government. That
That
seems
is
like
correct.
one of the only areas, because there is death taxes where the government gets one last stab at you before you roll up out of here.
Hmm.
You
But
know.
that's the beauty of life insurance or any of the products that have a beneficiary attached to them. Like, say, for example, someone's 401k, or if there's a spouse, if they have a pension, that goes to the individual. Life insurance goes to the individual, tax free, probate free. It's a transfer of wealth. You're going to hear that a lot, transfer of wealth privately, because it's a contract. The name of the individuals that's on as the beneficiary. So that's the beauty of life insurance that I love. Tax free, probate free, check in your hand. Um, as it relates to, what was your other comment, Lloyd, about
No, I was saying that with the insurance that they can either borrow against it.
oh yes, yes, that is something that is an option. I would try and encourage people not to, because of the rate of insurance. The interest rate is a little high. So, and that also takes away from, so say, for example, if someone had a policy for $15,000 and they decided after, really by the time it builds some cash value, it's about 5 or more years into the policy, and they decided that they wanted to borrow, say, $2,000 of that. So if they don't, they have to start paying that money back, because otherwise, if the policy is, say, for example, 15,000 and they borrow two, then that leaves them with 13,000 as a death benefit if someone were to pass, while the loan is still outstanding. So you're
Mhm.
you're subtracting away from the death benefit.
Right. So it has the advantage of being borrowed against, but should you die, it'll be the face value minus what you
Minus.
took out against the
Mhm.
value of your life insurance
Jones Powell.
policy. So
That's
if it's
correct. That's correct. And the
it,
interest rate too. The interest rate against that money is a little high. So if you can avoid it, I would avoid it if you can.
borrowing against it,
Yes. Mhm.
okay, that's different against borrowing against your home, right? Would
That's
that be
yeah,
correct?
totally different. Because your home is your equity, and then again, if you sold your home and you borrowed against it or took a loan out or like a HELOC, uh, equity line of credit, you still have to pay that back. And then when you sell your home, then it's less those proceeds. You got to pay it back.
Okay, there's you know what I'm learning. There is a lot when you're dealing with the preservations of your life and the
Yes,
preservations of things to pass on a legacy.
that's right. That's right.
It's
Absolutely.
it's not that it's not that easy. Now, you and your co person Ethan
Hmm.
the Ethan is not able to join us, but you have a because when you came on the first time, you were
Yes.
about to launch the show. That was in February
Of this year.
of
So,
this
Lloyd,
year. How's it
matter of
going
fact,
now?
you know what? You inspired me. It's one of those things. It's like I inspired you to start your show, and I said, you
Yes,
know
you
what?
did.
I have a lot of information that the one thing that I want to teach my people in my community or people that I meet, I'm a lifelong learner, and I want to share information. So we launched our own podcast, if you will, YouTube informational channel, and it's called Plan Well. Number two, Live Well, and we talk about insurance, we talk about finances, financial planning, we talk about retirement planning. Ethan, he's also a licensed real estate agent, so he's talking about real estate, he's talking about transferring of wealth. So there's so much information in this financial space as it relates to retirement planning, as it relates to legacy. So we just want to put that information out there, and we are do our show weekly.
Let me ask you this. Which aside from life insurance, financial planning.
Hmm.
Evidently, people don't really plan financially. They don't. I guess people are so caught up in what they sometimes call paycheck to paycheck
Hmm.
or outstanding loans. They said the outstanding loans and credit cards alone is in the trillions of dollars. Student loans are in the trillions of dollars.
Hmm.
So financial planning is for the future. Would it be hard for them to see that if
No. So I'll give you two different instances. Our sweet spot and what Ethan and I specialize in is that person that's a retiree, someone that's getting ready to transition on to Medicare. So I would love to get in front of people that are 40 years old, 50 years old. So that way, you have enough time to take a look at your 401k, your 403b, if you have an IRA set up, and what things that you can do in preparation for when you do retire. Right now, Social Security is doing okay, but most folks can't live on just Social Security alone. So you
Mhm.
have to be putting some money away in that 401k, and it's free money if you're working for an employer that contributes. If you can do your maximum 6%, 10%, whatever that percentage is that you feel comfortable with doing, I encourage people to double down, put as much money away as you can, so that way you can get that employer match, which is free. So that way, when you do get ready to retire, not only do you have your Social Security income, but you also have income that you've created for yourself with a 401k or 403b or whatever vehicle you're using to plan for your retirement.
Now, here's the thing. It appears to me the majority of the people don't have IR, IRA accounts,
Mhm.
401ks, 430, whatever these other numbers are they got up in here now.
Mhm.
So, what do they do? For somebody that says, you know what, I never thought about it. I don't have a 401k. I don't have an IRA or whatever. Can they get started too?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You can get started with just $5. So
Really?
I would encourage folks to, if your employer doesn't offer some type of retirement planning, go to your local bank, whether it be a credit union or your bank, and open an IRA account, a retirement account, and start putting your nest egg money away. You can do a high yield savings account if you have a lump sum of money. So there are vehicles out there. You just have to sit down with either like myself, or we can guide you, or go to your local banking institution and let them guide you. There are products that are out there.
Do you have to have a license for a respective state? So, like you live in Philadelphia, can
Mhm.
you sell to somebody in Texas, or can you sell to
I can
somebody
get
in
licensed
London?
in Texas. Right now, my current licensure is in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia and Florida. Those are where I current. And Ethan, he has a couple more states under his belt as well. But if we can't help you, we can guide you, and we can guide you to any one of our colleagues that we partner with in other states, or we could get licensed in those states. But
I,
yeah, just to have a financial conversation, um, sure, that's a consultation. And then, as it if you're looking to purchase a product, then we would align you with someone who makes sense to.
so, has there been anybody who's, no matter what states of all the 50, what they call contiguous states, whatever that's supposed to mean,
Hmm.
where they got licenses to sell in every state in this country?
Oh yeah, there are folks out there. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, I just haven't gone down that path, if you will, because I don't have clients in those states. But you never know. Maybe after this conversation, I will.
Yeah, maybe you should apply into New York so I can give you some business.
Ah, yes. New York is like a whole unique, different animal, I tell
Yeah,
you.
tell me about it. That's what I'm saying. And so I would need somebody that I would feel very comfortable with.
Hmm.
Do Would you say one has to have a good bedside manner when they're talking to somebody about insurance? Would that
Um,
make sense?
yes, because you know what, Lloyd, you have to meet people where they're at. So I call it from the bedroom to the boardroom, if you will, and everybody in between.
Hmm.
So I try and just test the waters a little bit to see what their understanding is of finances, or just where they're at. And then some people, I talk to people that know more than me. Like you've had a career, although you may have been away from it from some time, but we can have a real robust conversation. You follow?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just try and meet people where they're at, if you will, and just educate them. And then we dive head first and get right to it.
Okay, now I got to change up a bit. And
Sure.
then I'm going to show how people can reach you.
Uh-huh.
What made you approach me sitting in your home about, Lloyd, you need to do this? And I was so reluctant.
Um, I knew. Remember, we met probably almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I have your book and it's autographed. I should have put that down for this meeting. But anyway, and I just knew that you had a gift, and just you and I just talking in this synergy. And I was like, you need to share this gift with the world, and you need to be
Yeah.
on weekly with it. And that was it.
I was very, very reluctant,
Hmm.
very reluctant to the nth degree. So but I never forgot you put the phone there at your table there in Philly, and
Hmm.
you had me do something, and that was the first time I saw this vehicle of actually, I think it was live too. It's very embarrassing. I was looking at your closet or whatever. I didn't know what was going on. But I know that you made a promise to have this do a show. And I said,
That's right.
okay. And when I came back to New York, I sent you an outline and I said, July is one of my months. And I'll say July 14th. And that was it. And at first I says, well, because I've always been behind a mic. So I didn't have to
Right.
worry about combing my hair, brushing my teeth, none
Hmm.
of that stuff. But you have really changed my life, Jackie. I got to be honest. I got to tell you. And now I love doing these shows.
You are
I
so
really love them
gifted.
because of you.
I'm a faithful watcher. I can tell you some of the mini shows that resonate. I fanned out when you had Dougie Fresh on, but that's a whole nother. I
Oh,
love
you're a
hip
hip
hop.
hop person anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So I fanned out totally. And I just think about all the other interesting people that you've had on, Yelanya Van Zant, Dr. Yana. So people resonate. People want information. I'm a lifelong learner, so people gravitate to the information. They gravitate to the numbers. Things have so much meaning. I'd be surprised how, um, from even just helping people with their life insurance or retirement planning, I'm dealing with numbers, I'm dealing with a holistic approach, and one thing affects the other. So there's definitely some correlation, if you will. Um, so I just love it. And I knew that you were, you said the word earlier, charismatic, if you will. And I said, wow, you got to share your gift with the world. Can't.
Well, that's interesting. And let me say this for those of you who also don't know. Yes, Jackie was the one that said, "Lloyd, you need to do this." While I was in her home there in Philly, but it was she and her uh, co-producer, I should say, Jazz Scintilla,
Yeah.
that actually revamped my website.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get your numerology monthly newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
her partner and Jazz live in Spain.
Yeah, she lives in Spain. She was here in Philly for a long time, and then she decided to be a digital nomad. I didn't know it was such a thing, but she is a digital nomad. She is,
Yeah,
um, it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have Wi-Fi connection,
yeah.
you can do this
So when I
anywhere.
prepare my monthly newsletter, I send
Hmm.
it to Jazz there in Spain. She does it and send it out to all of you. But it is Jackie and Jazz Scintilla that has really changed the way I did something. In fact, I had a website up and I never looked at it until Jackie and Jazz revamped it, the whole color scheme, everything. So everything you see that I do my presentations is I have to thank this beautiful lady along with her coworker, Jazz Scintilla, for doing this. So I mean, I'm forever thankful. And
And
I
you know
mean,
what, Lloyd? I'm sorry for cutting you off, but think about it. When we did that first photo shoot, that was in December of 2019. So look how much time has elapsed in that short period of time.
yeah,
Remember I pointed that out to you. I said, "Oh, it's time
yeah,
for a new photo
yeah.
shoot."
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, we have to do an update. You made mention of it not too long ago
Yes.
when we spoke, but
Hmm.
it just shows you how I'm so glad that whatever it is that you nudged me, because I was very reluctant about doing this. But this has now become like my staple that I look forward to on Monday and Wednesday. I like sharing various information. Yes, I'm a numerologist and astrologer, and I'm what I'm going to do after I give your website of how to get in touch with you and see
Hmm.
your regular program. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes reading people who might want to get an interesting reading. But I
Yeah.
like sharing information, and there's more to life than just numbers. There's more to life than just the stars, especially when you live in a complex city. As I think Dr. Woodhouse called it, the United States of Incorporation. You know.
Oh, yes, yes. So I would encourage, yeah, if someone could put a couple things in the chat that they may want to know, and just know that I'm not limited to just life insurance. I help folks with their retirement planning, Medicare. Annual enrollment is coming up October the 15th through December the 7th. So, we sit down with people and help them with their annual elections as it relates to their Medicare, or if they're rolling on Medicare for the very first time and you need someone to help you navigate that, we do that as well. And as it relates to your finances, you're unsure about, how to get a guaranteed income. We can assist you with that, or we work with a team. I'm so grateful to work with a team of folks that are smarter than me that can help with these different strategies on how to invest your money or get you that guaranteed income.
And
So,
you also worked on the Harley Davidson campaign too.
yes, yeah, you know what, Lord, I was just talking to friends of mine and how much I miss the motorcycling community, and that was a lifelong passion. That was 14 and a half years there with Harley Davidson. So,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, but I know you took that experience from there and hooked me up over here to make mine what it is. So, I just wanted to bring that back, just a little flashback moment. I didn't know you
Thank
spent
you.
that many years there at
Yeah,
Harley Davidson.
14 years, 9 months until yeah. And I said, it's time to hang up my hat and do something a little different. And here I am in the insurance industry and helping you and just helping other folks with their marketing and advertising. So it's a passion. I love it.
Well, the
Thank
nice
you.
thing I like about it is you stay on top of it because I think about several months ago, I published something that you said would be, and you guided me like, Lloyd, these are the things. So all I'm saying is you are an excellent teacher. You might be an excellent student, but I can tell you are an excellent teacher as well of
Thank you.
some of the do's and don'ts to have a successful format like Live with Lloyd has come.
Mhm.
Now I call it the Live with Lloyd family. That's how I feel,
Oh,
because
wow.
I'll get the Stephen and Carol Williams, and I'll get Locke from and JT and all the other people that have now become regulars of Monica Peak and all of the other people that really support me every week. And I'm very, very honored with it. And
Yeah.
so what I want to do is I want to pull up your banner, and
Okay.
then I'm going so people can get in touch with you. And by the way, when I do this, what is your, hold on one second. There we go. This is the banner. And for those of you, is she is their insurance and their retirement advisors. Um, their contact is info, not info. Okay, I see I made a mistake. It's INFO at Plan Well to Live Well. How did you come up with that title, by the way? Plan Well to Live Well.
Because you know what, I was just thinking one day, and I said, you know what, we're planners, we're thinkers, we're doers. But you know what, when you plan, you live well. You know, you gotta. So that just came my little moniker. And at the end of each show, I was like, okay, when you plan well, you live well. Because you know what, nothing worse than who plans. You know, you fail to plan. You know, you can't fail to plan. Got to plan to live forward.
And I
Got to.
like how you put the number two as against the TO because you are born on the second, which is a two.
Yes, right.
And
Yeah,
that's
you know what? Yeah. So yeah, I would encourage folks to go to our YouTube channel, take a look at some of the things, content that we've posted out there, and if you guys want to be interviewed, we're changing up the format. You know what? The one thing about this internet space, you got to keep it fresh because there's so many other folks out there who are retirement specialists. So we're going to change up the show. We're going to be doing now live interviews with folks just to get their feedback on retirement, life insurance, etc. And we're definitely going to have a conversation with you back on because you're in the Medicare space. So you
hmm
look very
hmm
young, but you are in the Medicare space. So
hmm
yeah, just always evolving. Folks can book a informational free. Our calendar link is there as well um, to book
And
an
you on
appointment.
and you're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube,
That's
all
right.
under Plan Well to Live Well.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any? I'm looking to see if there's any
Yeah,
notes in
let
the
me
comments or
let me see here.
Empress Rel. She has you on point. I see here.
Yeah, Empress Rel is my moderator on my Wednesday show, and
Okay.
she's the best. I'm very blessed with all the people that have come into my life to help make this a success. So when people see me, they say, "Oh, Lloyd, it's you." Well, I'm a part of many people
Right.
behind the scenes that make it, such as you, was the
Mhm.
one that got me started with this innocently sitting in your home. And you had me sit at the table and you just threw the phone on. I didn't know what was going on, but it turned out to be one of the best things that happened to me.
Yeah.
And so for that, I can't thank you enough. Let's see if we do see anybody. Oh, this person here says that they are also a life insurance broker, and the death insurance man is how I got into insurance also.
Wow.
And so that's how she says that's Benefit Ross. She's one of our regulars too. Somebody said there will be no readings, but I will take a couple of people today. I'm just trying to see if anybody had a question. Uh,
Who's Yana Woodhouse? Who's that?
Dr. Yana Woodhouse, that's
Yeah.
the girl. She's the one that
Okay.
started raising my coat about money. I had her on the show. She's the one for the reason that I says I wanted to have you on talking about insurance because she's an extension. She's the one that you ordered the book from.
Right. And I ordered the one for women because I
Women.
already had
Yes.
the book, the green one with the green sucker on it. I already
Yeah.
had that one.
Yeah, that's
So
Dr. Yana Woodhouse. She is, what's interesting? Your numbers are the 2, 7, and 3, and her numbers are the 3, 2, and 7.
mhm.
You all
Oh,
got the same numbers
oh.
in a different order.
Mhm.
I just thought that was interesting. You're a fire sign with a water number. She's a water sign with a fire number, but the same. And when I got her book, especially the first one that she talked about, I could never pronounce it right, but I know it's
Mhm.
just got a lollipop on there.
Yes.
Um, she said she would love a sidebar with you. We're like on a mission, and I suggested you definitely connect with Yana.
Oh,
You know,
definitely.
to people, I call her Dr. Woodhouse, but like you, it's like, hey, Jackie, it's like Hayana, it's like
Mhm,
that. It's on a first name
mhm.
basis. So all of y'all have been very inspirational. And um, I think you do have her number. If not, I'll make sure you
Yes.
so
Mhm.
y'all can touch bases because
Yeah.
she is awesome. She is really awesome. All the guests I have on here really are awesome as far as I'm concerned. I know it sounds partial. Okay, now here's one question that says, is there a limit to what you can contribute to your IRA per year? If true, does it depend on age?
It does depend on age. If you're under 50, it is 6,000, and if you're over 50, it's 7,000. Did you hear me, Lloyd?
Repeat that again. No, no, I
If
just
you're
want to.
under the age of 50 years old and under, it is 6,000. And then if you're over the age of 50 or older, it's 7,000. Excuse me, 7,500 for 2023. They raised the limits. My,
Okay,
my
in other words,
apologies.
for a person who opens up an IRA under that age bracket, they must at least invest 6,000 into it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. For 2023, it's 6,500 if you're under the age of 50. And if you're over the age of 50, it is 7,500.
So, in other words, a person's got to have at least 7,500 just to get started with the IRA now for the 2020.
That's the maximum contribution. Maximum.
Okay, and you can't go over that.
Right. That's right.
And
And I'm
so,
going to go. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
when you put in the $7,500 and leave it there, is that when it grows on its own? Is that what they're saying?
Well, you're looking at your compound interest. You're looking at the performance in the marketplace. So yeah,
Okay,
and
okay.
you just need to watch it. So thank you to who's that? See the goddess.
Yes. And also, Yana Woodhouse says the books are on the way. Yana don't play. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. If y'all reached out to her and whatnot, and I'll show her banner too. So whatever. And See the Goddess also says, she says, thank you.
Oh,
I was told that by the credit union.
mhm. If
But
I
she
could,
said they
oh, and a
never told
person
her the amount though,
amount.
which is
Yeah.
interesting.
They should have told you the amount. I'm a little biased for credit unions because their fees
For
are
or
lower.
against.
For
Got
because
it.
their fees are less as it relates to some of the bigger banks. They're just more user friendly to work with.
Also, I understand you can get have a better chance of getting a loan through your union than through a bank.
Uh, well, yes, I was just say better rate. So, for example, I
Huh.
purchased my car years ago, and I used the bank's finance, the car dealership's financing. The very next business day, I went to my credit union, and I got the interest rate like 3 points lower. So I like credit unions much better because they're not as for profit as some of the bigger institutions. Um, so to see the goddess, stick with your credit union. Definitely. It's a
Okay.
shame that they didn't tell her the dollar amount, but yeah.
But that's why I have people like you on this show so we can fill in the blanks. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
So this way, and now is that standard across the entire United States or just
Yes.
state by state
That's
variation?
standard.
Because
That's
sometimes
standard.
states got their own different rules and whatnot. But
Hmm.
for a credit union, obviously in an IRA, that is the same across the board, no matter what
That is
state you're
standard.
in.
That's right.
Okay. So let me go through another one of these. Yeah, she says she's also insurance broker. Okay. This is very nice. And let me tell you this. Next week I'll definitely do some readings. Somebody asked me, do you need to travel to New York to get a reading? No, the beauty of the internet now and the all you got to do is do Zoom. We get on the phone. There's all kinds of ways where you don't have to go any place. You can
That's
do
right.
everything right in the comfort of your home. And Jackie, that's why a lot of people are very reluctant about going back to jobs because they found out for a year and change they didn't have to. All they got to do is get up and maybe put on a shirt and tie, sit in their pajamas, bottoms, and whatnot, and conduct themselves like they were at the office and go back to bed. They didn't
That's
have to
right.
spend all that hours on the road, spending gas, whatever the case is. And so a lot of these buildings now, especially in New York, A lot of the office buildings are vacant, and the mayor today was talking about the fact of turning some of these office buildings into housing situations.
That would make so much sense. Makes so much sense. The infrastructure, the layout is already there. Your elevators, your bathrooms, makes sense.
Okay.
You see Harold. Let me see what is it says. Can you bring him up on the screen? Or do you see
Harold,
that? Yeah.
let me
It
see.
says, what's the difference between term life and whole life insurance? So, Harold, term insurance is temporary. It's for that period of time. You can purchase a 10-year, a 20-year, a 30-year policy. So, once that 30-year is up, your policy would expire. Some companies offer the ability to you can extend or convert it like midway through the life of the policy. You could convert it to a whole life policy, and sometimes um, the cost of insurance is a little bit higher because you think about it. So if I'm 40 years old today and I bought a 20-year term policy, so 20 years from now I'll be 60. So the cost of insurance, and if I need to get a whole life policy, um, I'm limited because now my age, I'm 20 years older. My health could have changed. My finances could have changed. So I may not be able to afford a whole life policy at age 60.
And this will
So
also include the health of the person, all depending
that's
on
right.
how they take care of it.
Yep. 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 So, and whole life policy is for your whole life. So right now, a whole life policy will go out to 121 years.
I
So
did
folks are
not know
living
that
on.
until this
Yeah.
day. I just thought it was about 90, and after that, they said,
Yeah.
no, we don't need you because you're not going to be around. I did see that tells me that actuaries have figured all of this out. And what that should tell our viewers in the Live with Lloyd family that if the actuary says the policy can go for 123 years or 21 years, it makes no difference, 120, then that tells me that people need to begin to increase their expectations of living a long life.
Hmm.
But the point is healthy life, and also what is important for Dr. Yana Woodhouse and what Jackie Berrios, my guest, is saying, though, but you must plan financially well to do that.
Hmm. Yeah. The next person says, do I recommend any companies that are best for cash value build up? Uh, if for cash value to build up, you need to have time. And just think about the cost of insurance. So, say for example, the cost of insurance. So, if I were a young person and I've written policies for kids that are 1 years old, so if you're only paying say under $20 for the cost of insurance for a small kid, it's going to take a good 5 or 10 years or so to actually have some true cash value in that whole life policy that you could do something with. So
Okay. All
I
right.
don't understand what that means. Why 21
I
equals
was looking at the same thing. I do know that 1 + 2 + 1 = 4. They got that part right. Um, oh, and she says actuarians use numerology. I would imagine so.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
because I was explaining if a person's born, let's say they are 42 and they're born in February. Well, although their birthday is until next February, in August, actuaries consider you 43. So I understand they take now all of that could change, but in the time I was doing it, 6 months past your birthday, as far as actuaries are concerned, you're another age.
Hmm.
Do you know
Right.
that to be so or whatever?
Yep. You're right about that. Yep.
Yeah, they
Yep.
do use numbers. They do. They really, really do. And I understand the insurance companies got the best lawyers on the planet too.
Yes, they do. Yeah, it's a binding contract. When you sign, it's a binding contract. Speaking of which, Lord, I just want to give your viewers a tidbit of information, which is so important. We
Please
talked
do.
about the life insurance piece. However, we need to focus in on beneficiaries. There are four areas that happen, or life events that happen to an individual that changes your beneficiaries. It's a birth, a death, a marriage, or a divorce. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, it is so important for folks to make sure that their beneficiaries are current, that and your relationships could change too. So your relationship today with whomever you designated as your beneficiary could change, and you may want someone else to be designated as your beneficiary. So that is something for folks to consider. Also, they want to consider how a beneficiary is designated. You have what they call per stirpes, and you have what they
I've
call
heard of that. Yeah.
yeah. So, it's just so important that that designation is so important as to how per stirpes and per capita. Typically, a life insurance policy is set up per capita. Per capita means how it's listed on the policy. That's it, your primary and your contingent. Per stirpes is based on if you want to have a lineage. So, say, for example, if I had two children as listed as my beneficiaries. Oh, this column over here is like moving. And if each child had two kids each, so if it's per stirpes to two children, 50-50. And then if they have children, so that would be four. So if my daughter was to pass, then her percentage would go down to her two children.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
that half would then be, you know, then split again, a third.
Well, Benefit Boss cleared up the 1 to 1 equals 4. She
Mhm.
says she's asking why 121 years as opposed with any other number. And Benefit Boss, I think that's great. What's the magic why they said up to 121 or 123, whatever you said that is? That a magic number for them?
You know what, Lloyd? That is something that I don't know. How did the actuaries or the life insurance arrived at that number? So, good question. You're going to make me do
Yeah,
my
thanks,
homework.
Benefit Boss. Yeah, thank
You're
you.
going to make me do my homework because that part I don't know.
Now
You would think,
she also mentioned about mutual companies will be best for these types of policies. Now, what is the difference between a mutual fund? Because they used to sell mutual funds too,
yeah.
and variable annuities.
hmm Uh,
So
Variable annuities are still out there. I work with a team of financial advisors and certified financial planners that go over that. Um, yeah, they would be the best for this, but you know, the S&P 500 really is what a new the index universal life. That's what your monies are spent. So if mutual companies are in that S&P 500, that Standard and Poor's, then we have to look to see who's who's in there. Let me see, probably. I know I didn't answer that question properly, so I'm going to have to come back to your benefits boss to get the correct answer from my
okay, when you do,
team of
let me know,
folks.
and then you'll be on this time. You'll be on with your partner too, Ethan. We'll
Yeah,
have them on together so he can also back you up with some answers.
answers. Yep, I'm going to write
And
that down.
yeah, Harold says, okay, did you read this one? Are cash values open for contribution or limited to just the build up? That's a good question, Harold.
It, if you're doing the type of policy, for example, this to his question, this would apply to if you have an index universal life or a variable universal life, because you can do what you call a dump in.
What's a
There's
dump in?
meaning you could add more because it is a life insurance policy first.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build that cash accumulation, you can add more money into that policy.
Okay, got it.
There
Got
are there are restrictions as to how much you can add in, depending upon the face value of the policy. So you get very. This is a very specific question, um, based on the type of policy it is, Harold. But can you do it? Yes. Is if you had a standard whole life policy, just a simplified basic one, there is no. You're just limited to over time what that cash value column would look like.
Okay, good, good. What I want to do, Jackie, is I want to make some announcements, and then we're gonna come back to you, so you will have the last say. Um, and we did an hour. I mean, it's just really, really great. We did this, and thank you so much for spending this time. I didn't. I thought maybe we'd do about a half hour, but I can never keep my word. I've always like asking questions and you explained everything well. But I gotta let you know that this is a woman you're looking at to my right or your left, all depending on how your perspective is, that made it possible for Live with Lloyd show to come alive. In fact, that's how I came up with the name because of this. I had to come up with a date. She made me promise. Okay, I need a date and a name. And I just said Live with Lloyd. And I said July 14th. And that was 2 Julys ago. And the rest, as they say, is history. So, Jackie, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, honey. That was a good move. You tricked me, but it was a good trick.
Yeah, you know what, and Lloyd, just to everyone here that's listening, it doesn't. We can talk all we want to, but until the rubber meets the road and you put pen to paper and you commit, uh, then you make it happen. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, you stayed on and you advised me so well. You guided me through everything, and you told me there would be people watching. I mean, a lot of so many things you told me didn't made no sense, but boy, does it make a whole lot of sense now.
that's yeah.
So good. So hold on just 1 second, and I'll be right with you. Everybody, I want to let you know that today's show, okay, let there be no question, today's show was being sponsored by Jazz Aphrodite, who is making a PowerPoint presentation. It's going to be a 6-week course. It's going to be absolutely awesome. You learn how to make dynamic presentation materials with less words, because visuals, and that is what made, I believe, my Live with Lloyd series that she created, all three of them. And to her credit, I now have over 6,000 students in 93 countries, and that course is translated into over 30 languages because of her skill sets. So I'm saying, folks, the proof is in the pudding. I'm not just saying it because I know her and all this other stuff, but the fact of what she did for me. If you go to my app, uh, 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 app website, star8.com, you can see what she put the polish on that too. So what I'm saying is, so if you want to know how to do these things, do take advantage of signing up for her course. It is Tuesday, September the 19th. It's from 7 to 9 p.m. Okay, so I wanted to just make sure I got that straight. Another thing I need to do also, let me see. Okay, let me see. Alrighty, let me take this comment off from Harold. Bless his soul. Harold, good question. And boss benefit boss, really, really, really good questions. I appreciate that too. So in light of that, I do want to let you know that my course between today and tomorrow is on sale. All right, where is it? It is. This is the new price. And as you see, let me take a banner off a second. As you see, seriously, and ever since the course started, it always says um, highest rated and bestseller. And you can see that if you add all the stars, but the numbers in parentheses represent the reviews. If you look at just all total of the reviews, it's over 1,500 reviews from the three courses. So evidently, I have done something right. And this is not me putting it up there. This is them from there. So to go to my website and sign on, lloyd-strayhorn.com, sign on for the courses. You see what the original prices are scratched out. So there, and if you notice, it's the only time I ever push the courses when they are on sale. So you have no excuse not to get this knowledge, but at a cheaper price. And that is what I'm for. I do believe in saving some money where I can and still getting the knowledge also. So now that I did that, and I think the sale ends tomorrow. So between today and tomorrow, you have that. Also, please pick up a free copy of my newsletter for September. Jackie Barrios's cohort, Jazz
Yes.
Santilla, is the one that puts this thing together. And she put it together with certain skills that if you saw it a year ago, was a whole different thing. This year for 2020, she put a whole nother spin on it. Jackie's going to get me into doing a photo shoot for the new year and whatnot. So that should be interesting too. So the September newsletters are free. All you got to do is go to my website, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. And please, this is one of my pride and joys, the Star 8 that is coming along. It's about 90% to 95% almost there. Then we're talking about adding features that was discussed this morning in a Zoom meeting, so I can really, really enhance this thing and make it very applicable for you, very functional, and a lot of common sense for you too. Again, if you want to go to star8.com, that Jazz Aphrodite hooked up for me to see it in its presentations. And if there are any concerns that I can give to the developers so we can work out the bugs. Now I do understand why they have updates. I really, really understand. It meant nothing to me until I got behind the stage to actually do this. And so that's a star8llc at gmail.com to do that. And for those of you who are now TikTok followers, somebody got me on the TikTok, and that turned out to be wow. That's all I'm saying. And so it's not Lloyd Strayhorn. Yes, I'd like to give all the credit, but it is the people that I've been blessed to meet, that has crossed my path, that has that's really been nice to me, and I'm really, really blessed. So I have to thank Miss Williams for doing this too. She really took me to another level with this. And in fact, I do offer a mini course on TikTok just for beginners, astronumerology for beginners. So if you want to join that series, go to TikTok for it. And of course, the audiobook. And in fact, I got to tell you this. Miss Berrios allowed me to spend a week in her home to go to the studio there, Drummer Boy studio in Philadelphia. That entire 7 or 8 days she allowed me to stay in her home. I was so blessed. And I was able, because I would go back and forth from New York to Philly, and that kind of didn't work because of the hours that it takes to do these things. But this book is recorded in my own voice. So it's on discount, as you see. So please take advantage of the code. But I spent, and God bless you, Jackie, for letting me spend that a week in your home. You
You're
know,
welcome, Lloyd.
yeah, seriously. And that's so all these things behind the scenes that you don't see. And also, I have to give Miss Kimberly Williams too her props for actually putting these shows that you see into a podcast. So if you're on the road or don't feel like looking, you can just listen in bed, listen in the car, listen at home at your leisure while you're cleaning up and everything. So I'm very, very fortunate. So all these things came about from the beautiful people in my life that made this possible. So, and Jackie dear, I want you to have the last say. Okay, let me see. Did I do this right? Yes. Oh,
Hey,
there we go.
so Lloyd, just thank you for the opportunity. I encourage your guests. I see some notes in the on the comments section. Info at planwell number two livewell.com is the best way to contact me. You can go to send us an email, or you know what, hey, texting always works as well too. I'll give my cell number, which is 267-566-2025.
Repeat that again, dear, please.
267-566-2025 is a great way to get a hold of me, or info at planwell number two livewell.com. You can also click on any one of our social media channels, and click on the calendar link, and you can schedule a consultation for us to have a quick conversation. You know, that always works. And my goal is to educate folks in and about, whether it relates to life insurance, whether it be Medicare, retirement planning, and advisors. And we have a whole team of certified financial planners, um, advisors, that can take someone to the next level if they're open minded. You know.
And let me say this in closing about this beautiful lady. She allowed me to come to her daughter's wedding, which was just out of this world.
Thank
So,
you.
as far as I'm concerned, Jackie is family. Okay, that's how
Yes.
we roll. She's without question family. She's opened up her home to me, as I said. It allowed me to spend a week in her home with the family, to just so I could get up in the morning and go to the studio rather than get up from New York and drive down to Philly every day.
Yeah.
That was so helpful, and it was that grace that she extended to me that made it possible for me to complete that book. These
You're
audio
welcome.
books are not done overnight. So God bless you, Jackie. I really appreciate you because you didn't have to do that.
Thank you, Lloyd, for the opportunity. You know, I love you. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No question. No question.
yeah.
So Jackie, thank you. So everybody, please get in touch with her. Also get in touch with, hold on, I got Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse. Please get in touch with this woman to order those books. She said the books are going out. Her number is 646-375-2121. That's 646-375-2121. She is an educator and consultant, and it's because of her being on the show. a week or so ago that I decided to bring Jackie on because this is an extension, and I was curious to why does banks have a lot of their money invested in life insurance and yet we don't?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that should make you think too. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's
right.
all. So that's all I'm saying. Enough of that. Jackie, love you, honey. You have a
Love
blessed
you,
day.
Lloyd. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. And everybody, I want all of you to take good care of yourselves. This has been very great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all of you who come and support me every week. And so next week, we're going to have some fun. And I promise I'll get into some readings and whatnot too, because that's my best part. But I also want to let you know that there are other things that go on in this world other than numbers too. Okay. So, everybody, all of you have a blessed day until then, and you take good care of yourself. Let me see what I'm doing here. There's a lot to do with this. Okay, everybody, have a blessed day until then.